Alright, let's begin. In this video, we're going to be talking about the score manager. So if I quickly run this, we can see that the score manager is created once during the population process, and which we know about in we know this because the populate function is only ever called during this pointer instance reference right here. So it is created once and then never again during gameplay. So as for how the scoring system works, we have similar to the sound manager, this is a command pattern. So we have a function for anyone who wishes to get the different command values. We can request it here. So we have all the different ways for the player to score points. We have a function to add score, as well as something to push scores onto it and process them. So this process section is not called during the attractor scene. So even though the AI player is shooting the critters to get points, because it's not in the update sequence, the AI is not scoring any points. That only comes during the controller. So in the level 1 game space, this is where we start processing our scores. And anytime we get to start either player 1 or player 2, we make sure we wipe the score manager clean so that any scores the AI might have accrued during its automated inputs, it does not interfere with the gameplay of player 1 or player 2. So if I were to go back to here and just start one player, we can see that we have a queue of size 1, but it's not empty, so we're going to get rid of that queue. So now it's empty. And then we can begin gameplay as normal. So, let's see, I need to add back the breakpoints. So if I go back to these here. Oh. So whenever I destroy something, it will call this execute command. This execute command will be adding points to the player's score throughout the game. And if the player gets a new score, then we tell the text manager to update the current score display. So before we had 2 zeros, now we can go through here and we will get 1 point. I see, or 2 points because we had 1 already. And then if I were to do that again, once again, we call in the execute, then we have a new score. So we go back to here, and now we have 3 points. The critters within this game all subscribe to a specific score command, similarly to how they subscribe to their sounds. So the spider has their own unique one. The other critters have one as well. So the flea has their own, the scorpion has their own, and then the centipede has 2. One for its segments and one for its heads. So whenever any of these critters are defeated, then we have it call the send score section. So let me go over to here. So we have the send score for the head and send score for the segment. So if I were to shoot a segment, it will register that the segment has been destroyed. So it sends the score command over to the score manager through the game master. So now it pushes that onto the queue. And then it also plays the dead sound effect. So now we have the 10-point queued up for the centipede, from the centipede. And then we update our score to increase our score count by 10. The critter that behaves a bit differently in this is the spider. So the spider, unlike all the other ones, which are command score by value, which has the simple execute add points, command score by distance is what the spider uses. So the spider will receive distance based on where it is, and the blaster is upon its defeat. So based off of that distance, it will compute which point it should reward, whether it's near, medium, or far. It decides it's medium. So this score type is used for the display, which I'll get to in a minute. But because we are using the score manager now, now when we go to the execute, we can see that we go back to here. It will take the distance that it calculated and say that is a medium distance. So it will give the player that many points. And whenever a player is given points, it goes to here, increases their score count, checks to see if they get an extra life, and then checks to see if they have the highest score. And then the text manager updates itself as appropriate. For the score display over here, let's see, do I have that class open already? Yes, I do. So this is the thing which determines for the spider how it displays its points. So this type represents whether it is 300, 600, or 900 points. And when we create it, we just get that and say our frame is that number. So 1 is 300 points frame, 2 is 600 point frame, 3 is 900 point frame. We keep it on there for a set duration before we mark it for destroy. If I were to quickly go back, so then we destroyed the spider, so it's going to do its distance formula calculation. This one, when we go back in here, it's going to say it's another medium. So now it's adding its score, and then it's going to update the text. If I were to quickly turn off the functionality of these breakpoints, you can see that we go over to the spider, and then there's our score display here. Stays on the screen for a few seconds before it gets destroyed. And then again, if we get really close, it's 900, and then if it's really far away, it is 300. And that's it.